Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure taking part at this year's Bout Electrons 2022. Thank you very much, Theo, for your interest in considering Ableton to introduce themselves a little closer to your audience. My name is Yasmin Leonhardt, and I'm the brand manager for Southern Europe, Middle East, and Africa. My role takes place within the EMEA sales and marketing team. And since our sales and marketing team is divided into regions, I would like to mention for your understanding that besides the EMEA, which stands for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, we have the Americas region as well as the Asia Pacific region taking care of their respective territories. But let's leave it at that. Today I will tell you a little bit more about Ableton, who we are, and what we do. So, Ableton was founded in Berlin in 1999 with our headquarters in Berlin. However, over the years, Ableton has expanded a lot, so have its offices. We now also have Ableton Inc. in Pasadena, which was first established in the living room of former general manager Dave Hill in New York in 2003 and is now under the management of Tony McCall. In 2017, Ableton AG expanded its presence in the UK with the unveiling of a local territory marketing and representative office located in Fitzrovia, central London. The office is a great asset not just to the local UK team, but for anyone at Ableton who may be visiting, either passing through town or have business partners to meet in the city. Complete with a studio to accommodate artist visits, training, and of course, for its employees. Ableton KK was established on February 7th, 2017 in Tokyo, Japan, as part of Ableton's aim to increase our understanding and development of the Asia-Pacific region. Besides that, we have another office space in Barcelona managed by Luca Iacomino, as well as in Melbourne, Australia. At the moment, we have around 500 employees from more than 35 nations. And coming back to the EMEA team I was telling you about, Ableton employed a range of local brand managers from other European countries, such as Germany, France, Netherlands, Spain, Turkey, and the UK. However, also important to mention is that Ableton and Cycling 74 formed a new partnership in June 2017. You may know Cycling 74 as the developers of Max, the visual programming language for music and multimedia, as well as a platform on which Max for Live devices and instruments are made. I'm going to come back to that a little later of my presentation. Ableton and Cycling 74 have been working together for a long time. In fact, back in the 90s, in the late 90s, some Max-based programming even served as proof of concept for what would become live. Now in 2017, the two companies have agreed to enter into a new partnership with Cycling 74, remaining a separate and independently run entity, wholly owned by Ableton. Ableton's investment in Cycling 74's unique product vision will see Max development continue indefinitely, while creating an exciting opportunity to join forces in the spirit of shared research, exploration, and innovation. Gerhard Beles and David Ciccarelli, the CEOs of Ableton and Cycling 74, respectively gave an interview at CDM that paints a fuller picture of how the acquisition came about and our two companies' visions for the future. So feel free to check it out if you are interested. Now on this picture, you see Gerhard Beles, our Chief Executive Officer, who leads Ableton and is responsible for what we make and why. On the left side, you can see Bernd Roggendorf, who helped founding the company together with Gerhard, but decided to explore new endeavors where he could have a stronger social impact. On the right side, you can see Jan Bohl, our Chief Financial Officer, who manages company ownership concerns, corporate governance, and investments in and by Ableton. Besides the three displayed on the picture, we have Friedemann Schautz, our Chief Technology Officer, who makes sure we have a healthy and scalable product development organization, and he oversees product-related technology. Christian Sturm is our Chief Operating Officer, who drives structured growth planning and oversees the teams responsible for Ableton's financial health and general operations and infrastructure. Last but not least, Chris Woods is our Chief Marketing Officer, who oversees global and regional marketing and sales and business models across all offerings. Besides that, he leads education and community-focused offerings. Now let's get to the Ableton philosophy. Our work is driven by a conviction that's rooted in personal experience. Music making is good for people. We think of music making as an open-ended journey that can enrich our entire lifetime with bliss, breakthrough, and belonging. Beyond music, this journey can lead us to places we might not otherwise encounter, kindling our interest in the arts, the science, the humanities, or technology, building a deeper understanding of our fellow humans, past and present. Ableton wants to enable new music journeys and serve as a guide for those on their way, and at the same time be a trusted partner for those who take their journey to extremes, into uncharted musical territories. It is crucial for us to make this tension productive, because wherever a music maker is on their journey, it is inspiring for them to see others venturing farther ahead, trusting Ableton like they do. We care for music makers, no matter where they come from, what musical proficiency they bring, including none, no matter their color, gender, sexual orientation, class, etc. We choose to focus our efforts on music makers beyond childhood, who want to create their own music using combinations of creative practices like composition, sound design, mixing, playing, who look for fulfillment and joy in the act of music making, not only in the musical results or ensuing social or financial recognition, because the journey is a destination, right? Who are interested to learn and grow as music makers and willing to embrace and overcome some struggles on the way, who look for more than just utility as they bring technology into their music, perhaps new sounds or new ways to create. So music makers like this are especially important to us, and we want to be especially important to them, while honoring everyone else in our audience, of course. Our support teams, for example, will provide first-class service whether or not a particular customer meets these criteria. Last but not least, we care about the world where we live in, and therefore everything is done with the utmost attention to minimize our impact on the world. Now, let's head to the Ableton products. First of all, we will talk about Live. Ableton Live 1 has been released in 2001 and is a digital audio workstation that runs on Windows and macOS. Live was created with the idea of using a software within a computer as a musical instrument. These days, this idea is pretty widely accepted. However, at some point, this was a revolutionary idea. Today, we arrived at Ableton Live 11, of which 3 versions exist: Intro, Standard, and Suite. And with it, users can create, produce, and perform music in real time. It has 2 main workflows, which it's very famous for. Session View is a nonlinear sequencer, while Arrangement View allows users to compose along a timeline. Live comes with a suite of instruments, MIDI, and audio effects and content, and can be extended through the use of Max for Live, packs, and third-party plugins. Next one I would like to talk about is Push. In March 2013, we entered the hardware market and released Push 1, which was manufactured in cooperation with Akai Professional. In November 2015, we released Push 2, which was designed and engineered by Ableton. In essence, when we knew that we would release a new version of Push, on the one hand, we knew that we didn't want to create more waste in a world that is already full of it. On the other, we wanted to know how to have a more positive impact with the products that we create. So we decided that we would offer a considerable discount to those Push 1 users that wanted to buy Push 2 if they gave us back their Push 1. With all the Push 1s we collected, we made donations to education programs that couldn't afford it, and of course, we didn't stop supporting Push 1. Push is Ableton's flagship hardware instrument, a product designed for making music from scratch with your hands. Push is for creating beats, melodies, and harmonies, working with samples and exploring and tweaking a large, extendable library of sounds. Max for Life. We also make Max and Max for Life. The software Max was started to being developed in the mid-80s at IRCAM in Paris. Cycling 74 took over development in 1999, and Max became the most popular visual programming language. In 2008, Cycling and Ableton introduced Max for Life to the world. Now Max for Life is part of Life Suite and open for everyone to use. But what is it? Max for Life is a platform that allows you to program extensions to what Live is and therefore allow virtually to do anything that comes into your mind. The beauty behind it is that there is a huge existing community that has already programmed devices and patches for many, many years and that are available online, with even some of them being free. Users and makers share their devices online, and there are more than 3,000 individual devices at maxforlife.com. So also here, if you're interested, feel free to go on that website and check them out. Ableton's learning sites. Learning music and learning synths are free tools developed by Dennis DeSantis, as we believe that these are important pieces of the music making journey. On this slide, you will see learning music. Here you'll have a little impression of how learning synths looks like. The websites cover concepts from basic to more complex ones in music theory, which mainly learning music is about, as well as in synthesis. You should go and check them out since they are free anyway and get a better idea how they work. Loop initially started as a music maker summit. While during 3 days we would give talks, workshops, concerts. We did it 3 times in Berlin, 2015, 16, and 17, and once in LA in 2018. At this stage, we don't really know when and if we're going to do another event. However, Loop lives on as our container for interesting and inspiring content for our communities, as it is an editorial offering that aims to inspire music makers by helping them grow and stay engaged in their practice. This offering is provided through its online and offline events and dedicated online platform, and via Loop's presence on established channels. Loop caters directly to its audience by sharing insights from interesting artists, providing directly applicable materials, highlighting techniques to overcome creative blocks, and connecting music making with its socio-cultural context. Ableton Link. We also make Link, a product that is meant to be used by everyone out there and to be incorporated into products of other companies. It solves an age-old problem: how to synchronize your music making to other electronic musicians without nasty setup time and tons of cables. Mobile apps work as well as desktop apps, and everything just works together. So Link is an open source protocol that allows synchronization between devices. Since we consider life as an instrument, it was very frustrating for us to see that if we wanted to jump, for example, with a fellow musician, we had to go through technical hell to properly synchronize different devices. So we created Link. Link is a technology that keeps devices in time over a local network, so you can forget the hassle of setting up and focus on playing music. Link is now part of Live and also comes as a built-in feature of other software and hardware for music making. Now, a little bit to sound packs. Sound packs are collections of sounds or devices that can be made by us or third parties. Also here, I would suggest if you're interested or if you would also like to contribute, check them out on our website. Maybe you'll get inspired and publish your own sound pack sometime soon. However, let's talk a little bit more about Ableton for the Classroom, which we soft launched last year in April. Ableton for the Classroom is a permanent program for K-12 educators, K-12, kindergarten to 12th grade, that want to engage young people through their love of music. We want to support music educators that see the potential in teaching with modern technology and genres. Let the young people learn making the music they love, and they will learn a lot for life, we believe, not only about making music, but also about creativity, collaboration, and working with technology. Ableton has worked with universities and private music academies for more than a decade. A few years ago, our engagement in K-12 education was triggered by experiences of our executive team. They visited charitable music initiatives in the US and were seriously impressed how forward-thinking educators were using music tech to work with young people from challenged social backgrounds. That raised the question on how could we, as a company, support such activities and education for young people in general. And as a company, we feel some responsibility for our society and think that supporting music educators is probably the thing we can do best. We have the tools, the skills, and network of trainers and artists. In a way, music has changed the lives of all Ableton employees, and we believe that there are many benefits of music education. But we see a weird thing. Young people love and identify with music, but not all can connect with their music class in school. So we believe that teachers could engage their students a lot more when modern genres are used to teach the curriculum. Also important to mention though is that we don't want music class to be only about electronic music, but as nowadays music is often produced with music technology, it should have its place in children's education somewhere. As you know now, we were able to support with the Push Trade-in initiative at the time of Push 2 release. Educators, in a way we think was very elegant. Take back used Push 1 units and distribute them to educators worldwide for free. We are aware that budgets for music equipment are tight in schools, especially in those with disadvantaged communities. So we try to find motivated and skilled educators and provide them with free live and push so that they can work with their students with the music young people love. After those 5,500 push units were donated, we thought about how to repeat this or make it a continuous offering. And Ableton for the Classroom is the result. I have a little video that I would like to show you now.
Studies have shown that about 80% of students in high schools and middle school populations do not participate in school performance ensembles. That's only 20% participate. So what are we doing with the other 80%?
What did we do last week? Someone remind me. Come on.
We made stuff like dubstep beats, house beats, and D&B beats.
D&B, what does D&B stand for?
Drum and bass.
Drum and bass, okay. Music technology is an awesome way for students to have some kind of access to music.
What defines a music technology class now is the use of computers, but also the creative elements. We're making some sort of new piece of music, not listen to how well I played this song that some other dude wrote. This is my song, I wrote this.
If a student can study something that they're interested in and still develop their skills, creativity and teamwork and all of these skills that are transferable, then why not do it through something they love?
And I think people will be stunned at the quality of work that kids do, the creative work that kids do, if you just give them a chance.
So what what we're going to do is we're going to go up the scale, just like I was doing on the piano. So we're going to... We're going... OK, guys. We're gonna do it in time with your beat. I work at the Alec Reed Academy. It's my 5th year now. And when I first got there wasn't much music provision. It's a very poor area, so you've got a lot of challenges that come with that. My upbringing was, I went to an inner city school, I lived sort of inner city. I left home quite early, from when I was about 15. Music enabled me to escape where I was. Throughout school, music education didn't work for me. It was very steeped in tradition that was, irrelevant to us. So I dropped out. I started making electronic music because I wanted to sing over something, but then through the process of making electronic music, a whole world of sound opened up where I can create kind of whatever I can conceive. Today is assessment week. What have you done in preparation for your assessment?
Right now, I can actually sit down and listen to things that I would want to listen, because you're not going to go home and listen to musicals and like opera singings and stuff like that.
The children that I teach don't necessarily have prior musical experience. I will always delve into what they're listening to. I don't see a problem with creating a human feel by some algorithm. Compose a melodic motif. To save time, we're going to use the step sequence. So you can start creating a melody like this. If I give them an art piece as a stimulus, I'm interested in the connection that they make musically. They just need to know why they're doing it. So that's your melody that you've made. Is this what you're feeling? Are you feeling?
I'm feeling that.
Are you feeling that? What do you think about the contour? What's happening?
I want to make it a bit zigzag, because you don't know. When it's science like that, you don't really know what's going to happen. It just gives you a bit of oof.
You are a master blagger. I like that.
Altogether, it's just something that you really want to get up in the morning, get to school on time, and get the most as you can in that lesson.
I find the challenges that I face with teaching music tech is funding. To update what we have already, to get faster computers, to get full versions of software. You know, we can't present finance with that kind of bill. Having different technology at different stations means that we can't often learn as a class. We're trying to show the worth, show the value of music tech, and we've had children that have been removed by their parents because their parents don't see it as a valuable subject.
I wanted to pursue like the music industry, and like my parents, they're not really part of that. They want me to pursue more of a labourer's job, and I was like, it's not really me. I would like to be a producer myself, bring up young artists that don't really have any way to get out there, so I showcase their talent and then put them out there. So that's my dream when I'm older.
I think it's culturally really important, and it's an avenue to discuss the world and their world as well, and how to communicate feelings. It's really hard to measure, and I think that's why it's not done as much in schools. I think the only way it can advance is if it is valued in its own right.
See, I teach composition. I use technology. Of course, I have to teach the technology for them to actually be able to use it. I think the technology is going to change, but I don't think the core of what we teach is going to change. We all teach music. It just looks a little different depending upon what we have in our hands. Ah. Yeah, I mean, nothing else is happening, right?
Oh, shoot.
What?
Oh, that's hot.
To be honest, this class is actually a dream. I think that playing the violin actually helped me with the pieces, because there's some pieces that I would make where, you know, I'd have the violin playing and I know exactly how I want it to sound.
I have an idea here. You ready? What if you took the violin line and put it down and put it into a cello right here? I'd like to bring a more sophisticated level of music and music composition out into the world.
You know, before I just like did random things. Now I know that, you know, the melody has to have some type of meaning to it.
I live in Queens, in New York City. I grew up in Brooklyn. I'm a twin, so I think attaching myself to music became a way to distinguish myself. Classically trained, I played with symphony orchestras and schlepped timpani to gigs, and I'm a full-time music technology teacher here at Greenwich High School in Greenwich, Connecticut. I've been doing it here for 17 years.
What could you do to turn these hits into pitched instruments?
Horn or violin hits?
I'm not going to even say. I want you to try both and see what you think.
I force 8-bar melodies. I force particular chord progressions beyond just the 4-chord progression.
So every chord has a root, a third, and a fifth.
Being fluent in the language of music is really going to help them achieve their goals of making music that sounds good to them.
Using technology to connect with music is really cool because after moving here from the Philippines when I was 8, I got into music even more. It was a way to connect back with my culture home and the new culture here. I've never had that experience before, and coming into this with community is just touching.
Greenwich High School started electronic music in like 1967. It just changes so fast. Because of the price drop and the accessibility of the information online, kids are coming into class with a set of knowledge that they didn't have 5 years ago.
I think that electronic music is how a lot of the new generation is going to be working. You have access to millions of different instruments, and you can make your own instruments. You can create your own sound and create a unique thing for yourself. That's how you define yourself, and that's what this course and what eMusic really does for somebody compared to traditional music.
Early on, I was given a speech to a music ed event, and a guy stood up in the middle of my speech and was like, "You're destroying music education." It got a really strong reaction from people because I'm skipping a lot of the steps. So all your music needs to do is set the vibe for the scene, set the mood. I want to put songs together with kids who are basically beginners at music. I don't have time to teach all of music theory, all of ear training. I don't have time to teach keyboard. I'm not particularly interested in teaching any of those things to beginners. I want to teach the kinds of things that you have to know to be able to make music with these tools. And that's the part that rubs some music teachers the wrong way. I showed you guys what this repeat button does. If you just hold a pad down, you can adjust the pressure with your finger. So it's intentional groove, right? And it sounds really composed and really intentional, but it's pretty easy to write too. I can just mash and repeat's doing all the hard work for me. A lot of music teachers, for instance, would say, we really have to be learning sheet music notation. So I've got the triangle. We've all made chords on triangles before. We might be able to just use a tool like the push and say, make a triangle with your fingers, kids, and move the triangle around. We got chord progressions now. We can build all kinds of great things off of that, but it has to be fun first. I grew up about 30 minutes north from here in Kettering, Ohio. My parents got me a drum set for Christmas when I was 3. Hey, old friends. In high school, I had friends that were in rock bands and things, and I was way too introverted to go to the noisy clubs. The school band's activities were my home base. I was section leader in the marching band and in the jazz band. I was just way too in my shell at that point. I'd like to help students that I see a little bit of that in find their voice.
The project I'm working on right now is chiptune. It's kind of the older songs that you hear in old Super Nintendo. Mr. Kuhn has a method for writing melodies, which is that you think of a food and you just repeat the food over and over. It's a silly melody, but it works. I kind of went for apples and apple pie. I was kind of in an apple mood, I don't know. I didn't make a ton of music before getting into music tech, but now that I'm in it, I love listening to music, I love working on it. It's really opened up to just all sorts of ways you can make and listen to music.
I am currently setting up for our EMG set.
EMG is the electronic music group. We don't do concerts for parents. It's by students for students.
We're just performing for a little small group just to see people's reactions. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be rad.
Now I feel like there's a lot of creative kids in control of big projects that the whole student body gets to see, and it's that elevates everybody up.
I definitely had an experience where I hated school, and when I went through the music tech classes, it gave me something to look forward to every morning, and then it made me more engaged, and that's when I started getting more into school, because I realized that it wasn't a waste of time.
The grades from this class are very de-emphasized. Normally you'd say, well, what's their motivation for doing any of the work? We'll actually check out the projects out loud in class. They're definitely motivated to contribute to that. It would be chaotic if I did not manage the stations and make sure that everything has identical setup, identical equipment, identical desktop arrangement, identical dock on the bottom of the computer. Every little piece of the interface, I try to make it as identical as possible.
Hey everybody, we're EMG. Got 2 songs for you. Welcome to the experience. Creativity is such an important aspect of the world we live in, and I don't think it's encouraged enough in school. I think we're taught to follow the rules, but I think it's really important to know that you can break them and that that's okay. Thank you.
When I see a student find their voice because of what I taught them, that's what brings you back every year. It's like you activated them, and now they're out in the world doing this. Doing something related to what you taught them. That's the coolest thing.
I hope that this was inspiring to you, and we're coming to the end of this presentation. So before we do, I would like to talk a little bit about our customers. Since our products are designed for not one particular type, but for any music maker, and this is reflected in the artists that use it, such as Lenny Kravitz and Björk, but also Radiohead and Daft Punk, and also Dennis Onen and Bubble Boy, who graduated from UCT and also taking part at this year's about electrons. So I think for today it's enough. I hope you enjoyed this small insight on who we are and what we do, and I'm looking forward to your questions and hoping to come and visit UCT in the very near future. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Theo, for inviting. Be well, keep making music, and smile.